Sorry, George. Hi, everybody. My name is Garrett Jones, and my PPT is not working either. Here we are. Okay. 我名字叫钟嘉瑞啊。I'm amazed by how much similarity there is in these talks, these speeches. The organizers gave us some topics to choose from, but I promise you, this wasn't like all of the similarities weren't planned. But I'm sharing a lot of things that have already been shared. But I hope this perspective adds something else to your journey. Okay. This is a hard one to translate in English. We have different ways of expressing this. Rat race, racing to the bottom, spinning wheels, burning oneself out. It's kind of this feeling of like, right? Maybe you have had this feeling, but it's the feeling of climbing and putting in a lot of effort, but not getting anywhere. I had a friend in university. He graduated with honors from an engineering university, got a top paying job as an engineer with the government. It was a real 铁饭碗. But he had this feeling that he wanted to do something different. He was fulfilling all the expectations of others, and he was doing all the right things, but he felt like he needed to break out. It kind of probably felt a little bit like stepping off the edge of something, but not knowing if there would be anything there to catch him. It was definitely like this leap of faith. He told me that he wasn't sure if this decision he was going to make would be the worst or most foolish decision of his life. I want to introduce you. Some of you may know who this is. This is a psychologist, scholar from the last century. You may have studied his hierarchy of human needs, or a map of motivations. Is basically anything that motivates humans to take action. At the most fundamental level, at the very bottom, it's food, water, shelter, clothing. These things need to be satisfied. They need to be fulfilled before we can move on, right? We need to have food before we can do the next thing. And the next thing at the next level is safety. Establishing some boundaries, some protections for your family, your neighborhood, your tribe, whatever. There's that has to be sort of in place before you can move on to kind of pursuing something I think that's very, very deep. It's something we all share, this desire to be known, to feel belonging to a group of people who know your dreams, your desires, your goals, and who experience even your pains and struggles along the way and can be there to comfort you. You feel like you have a community around you. Moving on to the fourth level, once these things are established, once you've got a income, you've belonging, safety, you want to give yourself to do something well, to do something, to master something. It's this self-esteem and recognition piece. And at the very top, it's a fancy word, self-actualization. I think I use the word creativity, basically to live a creative life, to fulfill your creative purpose. So when we don't have these things in place, when people don't feel fed, don't feel seen, respected, don't feel these needs are met at the bottom levels, they don't create. You can't create, you compete. It's all about competition. It's about 内卷, right? more and more busy and comparing yourself to others. But when we have those things, when we feel seen, when we belong, we can be free to actually live our creative potential. But okay, I want to dig down into this Nadren thing. Like, why Nadren? What is Nadren? Maslow basically spelled out a few of these reasons, basically hyper competition, overcrowded opportunity spaces, economic inequality, lack of upward mobility. But he also kind of touches on this idea that Nadren, or he doesn't use the word Nadren, of course, but that it's a mindset. And I'd like to suggest to you that it's also a mindset to break out of, okay? People, I find it really interesting that a lot of people complaining about Nadren, they're not starving, they have secure jobs, they're educated, but they feel maybe something is not quite fulfilled. They feel like they're spinning their wheels. They feel like, I'm putting in all this effort. Saying, what is the point of all this effort if it's not leading anywhere? It's like this guy on the down escalator going up. So some maybe have chosen this as a way out of Nadren. I just quit. I'm not gonna participate in this rat race, right? I'm gonna tangping. But it could be that this is a step out of Nadren, but it's not the destination, right? Because to be creative is the destination, okay? It's kind of like, have you guys seen the movie Moana? This is not a very clear picture. But Moana on the shore, listening to the call of the ocean to come out, to go out into the unknown. That's another Disney song, Into the Unknown. I'm not a singer, I'm sorry. I think actually a lot of Disney movies, this is what the message they try to deliver is, you have an unknown and it's calling to you to come out and do something risky, do something different. Because to be creative is to be different, to put your fingerprint on the world, to self-actualize. Okay? And then, of course, she answers the call. She goes out and she goes on an adventure and saves her island. Okay? You have this kind of call. Now, here's the point I want to get to. This is really interesting. I've done a lot of thinking on this. Each successive level is not like a natural, easy step. Maybe the bottom levels are. But especially from level 4, if you can call it levels, going from the self-esteem, it's all established, I feel good about myself, I feel like I've got mutual respect and honor in my community, I want to do something creative, jump out. It is scary. It feels terrifying. And a lot of people resist it. A lot of people don't go. It's kind of like this freedom of choice that we all have. Maslow talks about this. He basically gives reasons for why would people resist their own self-actualization. Why would they risk leaving their own creative future, their good, behind? And it's because of these fears of you have to face maybe leaving the herd, leaving your people, your community, facing judgment, risking failure, abandoning the comforts. And these are kind of some of the things that are those fundamental levels of his pyramid, right? Food and safety and comfort and community and financial reward. Sometimes you have to risk those to live your creative potential. So it sounds a little bit contradictory, but they aren't exactly like easy steps, right up one to the next. This step from esteem up to self-actualization is not an easy one. Maslow himself calls this a Jonah complex. Jonah was a character in the Bible. He was supposed to go to one city and ended up going in the other direction. Sometimes we evade our own destiny, and we're afraid of our own greatness. A lot has been said about this in Harvard's Human Flourishing Program. It's a really interesting study being done from Harvard on what makes life worth living. The founder or the director, Tyler Vanderweel, says that when societies flourish, they export stories. I met a film producer last week, and he told me, it's very interesting. He said, when a society starts producing science fiction, you guys know what science fiction is? 科幻, like 科幻故事, 太空, thinking about going to other planets and other things. At that point, it's like this. It's a sign. It's evidence that the society has met its fundamental, basic human needs. It's free to dream beyond what's possible, like into the impossible. I think it's really fascinating. I think China is at a place in its journey where it is exploring, making stories. So I think that I try to encourage, I try to teach in Chengdu. I created, this is the old PPT, by the way. Okay. I created the Story Garden in Chengdu, where writers, filmmakers, creatives, dreamers come together for mutual encouragement, for inspiration, to just encourage people to jump into that creative potential, that self-actualization. So, because I think sometimes we all need, a safe place. We need food and drinks, a little bit of encouragement, belonging, and some courage to get to our full potential. So you remember that friend I told you about, the engineer who was thinking about leaving his job. You may have guessed it, but yeah, that was me. 20 years ago, I had an idea to leave my job, smash the Tiefan and come to China to learn Chinese. I don't know where this came from. It was like, that was my ocean to my, like, Moana. I knew I had to do something different and go out. But I was afraid. I had an older friend. He spoke to me. He said, Garrett, take it from me. There will always be enough. There will always be enough. There will always be enough. And I needed to hear that. It gave me a little bit of that, what I needed, that courage to step out. And so that 20 years ago, I stopped looking at all the nature around me, and I lifted my eyes, thought, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And I did. Thank you very much.